Hey guys, welcome back to the Lawrenceville Bicentennial podcast, the podcast where we talk to the people that know the city best. I'm your host, Nate McGill from Gwinnett Magazine, and today we're talking all about the Downtown Development Authority. We're talking about the organization that helps transform the city into all that it is today. So you don't want to miss this episode. Check it out. Hey guys, and welcome back to the Lawrenceville Bicentennial podcast. We're back in the studio again. We are talking all about the downtown, all the things that are going on with the Downtown Development Authority. And in the studio, returning Mr. Barry Mock here again. You just had to come back for more.
I couldn't stay away.
And then Lee Merritt, the chair of the Downtown Development Authority and Merritt Properties, correct?
Correct.
Yes, awesome. Well, guys, welcome. And today we're talking about economic development, talking about some fun stuff. I love the concepts behind economic development, everything that goes into it. Can you guys kind of paint the picture for folks that maybe you're not familiar with that term, they're new to the city, they kind of want to know what this Downtown Development Authority is? You want to kind of give us like a brief overview of what we're talking about today?
So the Development Authority, the Downtown Development Authority, is an economic development tool of the city. And there are all kind of development authorities. There's an industrial development authority or a building development authority.
I gotcha.
We are the Downtown Development Authority.
Very great.
And there's the Downtown Development Authority's law is Georgia law that actually enables a DDA to exist in every city in Georgia.
That's pretty awesome.
And so then the city council passes a resolution to say, we have a need for this, we want to enact this, put this group to work, and they define the boundaries of the downtown area that they want the DDA to work on.
I gotcha.
They appoint 7 board members who are volunteers to serve in this capacity. And the Downtown Development Authority's job is really to conduct those real estate and other recruiting activities that make the downtown what we want it to be.
That's awesome. It's one of those things that's behind the scenes that kind of makes the magic happen. And so we kind of get to talk a little bit about that today. Barry, what's your role with the DDA?
So as Lee mentioned, there's 7 board members that are all volunteer members. They're appointed by the city council. But as you mentioned, we work very closely with the city of Lawrenceville so that we have our visions aligned and our projects are aligned and things like that. So the city staff has a person who's kind of the liaison, and that would be myself.
I gotcha.
That kind of coordinates the DDA and the city together to make sure we're on the same page, or if the DDA needs anything from the city or vice versa. So my official role is the executive director of the DDA, but it's more of a liaison there for the DDA.
I see. And Lee, how did you get involved? How did you get involved with this? When did you get involved?
So I joined the DDA in 2016.
Wow, okay.
And it was our current mayor now, David Still, who encouraged me to get involved in DDA.
Okay, cool.
He was the chairman at that time.
I see.
Yeah, and he knew that I was a lifelong resident of Lawrenceville and passionate about Lawrenceville and the changes taking place. So he encouraged me to get involved, and it was Mayor Judy Jordan Johnson who appointed me to that board.
Love her.
And then in 2018, David Still became the mayor of Lawrenceville. So he vacated his position as DDA chair, and the board elected me to that chairman position.
Very cool. Very cool. So why does the city need a DDA? What are you guys doing, and what's the primary purpose for why Lawrenceville needs you guys?
We make things happen that might not happen on their own. So a Downtown Development Authority has several things that we can do. We can conduct transactions that the city cannot do.
Okay, I see.
And we can conduct transactions that someone in the private sector cannot do.
I see.
So we can buy and sell property, we can borrow money, we can lend money, we can enter contracts to build, construct, demolish.
I see.
And we can take advantage of certain financing tools. We can issue development bonds. We can get loans from a bank. We can access some funding that's available through the Georgia Department of Community Affairs. So some things the city can't do, some things private individuals can't do, that we have the ability to do to make economic development and projects happen
I
that
see.
might not otherwise happen.
I gotcha. Yeah. You get the city further faster, able to really execute the vision for what the city should be and look like, and in renovations and property, all that good stuff. That's really fun. That's
And we
really
can
fun.
do those projects that serve as catalysts.
I see.
So we might, insert ourselves and get involved in something if it's going to be the start of something bigger.
I see.
So, we do this one project, and then you'll have what we call a halo effect.
I see.
That,
Yeah.
that then everything around it
Sure.
improves, and it encourages other developments of that same sort.
Yeah.
So that kind of justifies our involvement. If something's going to happen on its own, we don't get involved. We leave it alone.
I gotcha. That's great. Yeah, I love the idea of the spillover effect from that. That's really cool. Maybe the best way to kind of talk about some of the things is start off by talking about some of your favorite projects. Barry, do you have a favorite project that you guys have worked on?
Well, there's several that we've been working on recently. The one that Lee and I spend most of our time on right now is a hotel that we're in the middle of bringing to Lawrenceville.
That's awesome.
We had started that project prior to COVID. It involves a parking deck as well. The parking deck is completed, but when COVID came, they pushed the pause button on the hotel.
I see.
And we've been working for the last couple of years to try to get that back going.
Yeah.
Financing has been tough. Costs have gone up. Just a lot of different things. The hospitality market was kind of unknown there for a while during COVID. So all those things have played a factor. But that's one of our probably our bigger projects that we're focused on right now.
Sure.
We have a level of confidence. We think things are going to happen this summer. But again, it takes a lot of work. Lee does a lot of work on that, and just coordination and things like that. But that's been a great one. I know the South Lawn has been a very great project for the city. Maybe Lee can speak on that. That's a project that the DDA did before I became involved.
Wow.
But
Okay.
it's been a great catalyst for the city. But
Sure.
you can maybe
Yeah.
talk a little.
Yeah. How did that happen? How did that unfold?
Yeah, so the South Lawn is probably our biggest project to date and the most influential,
Sure.
obviously. But it was observed that the city happened to own a huge amount of real estate in downtown Lawrenceville because, Barry's department, the Public Works, existed there.
Right.
Gas department, electrical department, water
Sure.
department. And just realized that we've got this incredible amount of real estate right here in downtown. And we have people who want to live here in the downtown, and we don't have any housing available for them.
Uh-huh.
So it was a combination effort between the city and the DDA to recruit that developer who would come in and do that, kind of design exactly what
Yeah.
we wanted to see there, and bring it to fruition. Yeah, and it has really been a catalyst
Yeah,
to
for
get people
sure.
in the downtown.
I mean, everyone always talks about live, work, and play, but you really see it in action right away. I mean, you got the downtown area, you've got walkability, you've got livable spaces, lots of them now, a lot more doors than there used to be, and the lawn provides that place where people can come to events, community events, concerts, all kinds of fun stuff. You can bring your dog out there. You can do all kinds of fun stuff there. Right in the heart of downtown. You really can walk out your front door and find something going on, and an event happening. It's really, you see how that is an economic development driver.
Sure.
As you also see with the hotel. So like when a hotel comes into a town, how does that impact economic development? Well, now you've got visitors that are also frequenting restaurants and theaters. Maybe talk a little bit about why you would want to bring a hotel into downtown Lawrenceville.
Sure, we do that. There are a lot of reasons, and you're spot on with what you described. What a hotel does for our downtown is generate other business. So they're going to bring visitors who are going to frequent the restaurants. They're going to go to shows at the Aurora Theater. It has even been found that people who are visiting a city spend a lot more at their retail stores than people who live in that city.
Oh, that's just true. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody can think about the last vacation that they went on.
Yeah, and
For sure.
you spend more.
Yeah.
We have a lot of entities that are in downtown Lawrenceville that could benefit from the use of this hotel. First, the Aurora Theater. People come from outside the county to see shows.
Sure.
Here. They're regional leaders. We've got Georgia Gwinnett College. You have sports teams that come from all over the region to
Good
stay.
point, yeah.
And their parents and family members follow them and want to watch those games.
Of course.
Visitors, speakers that come to the college. You've got Briscoe Field, the airfield out there where, corporate jets come in and bring people to various businesses in the area.
Sure.
Northside Hospital.
Yes.
You can imagine when you have a family member in the hospital and you don't live in that city, you oftentimes have to go there and stay and help
Right.
and be of support. The other one is GJAC, the Justice Center.
Yes.
The Gwinnett, Lawrenceville is the county seat for Gwinnett.
Right.
All of the court cases take place there. Lawyers come from all over the region, sometimes out of state, and they have to bring an entourage with them and camp out for 2 weeks for their trial, and they need a place to stay.
That's true. Yeah.
So we've got a lot of uses for that hotel.
Absolutely true. I love that. I love the fact that you have a place to stay. It's going to be a nice hotel. It's going to be downtown. Folks can visit there, come for Christmas, have a place to stay if there's not room in the house for that. I think there's just so many great reasons, and I can't really think off the top of my head of another hotel in the area. I'm sure there's others, but
Really, you'd have to go towards the Mall of Georgia to stay in a hotel if you were in that area.
so it's a serious need for everybody in that area.
It's a big void.
Especially with a 15-story tower coming into Northside, and
That's right.
I mean, just all of that. That's wild.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what's some other fun projects? Anything else comes to mind of some of the things you're doing? I know you're doing there's a grant for facade updates. I think I saw.
That's right.
Really, just kind of make the city just stay beautiful. Really.
So it's an opportunity to help out our downtown businesses if they want to do some improvements to the front of their store. That could be painting, it could be a new awning, it could be a new sign.
Oh man, that's great.
Any of that kind of stuff. And so what the program does is it will match or pay 50% up to $2,500
That's
of
awesome.
their expenses. And we've had currently we've got about 9 or 10 that have applied, but I'd say 2 or 3 that have completed their improvements.
Wow.
But yeah, so it's just an opportunity to help put a facelift on some things downtown.
Yeah, another great reason to have a business in the downtown district, the downtown area. It's one of those things as a business owner, you think about putting on an awning or something like that, but day-to-day costs and everything like that, it kind of gets put by the wayside. You should do it. You need some, new signage or something out there, but that kind of helps you make the choice, and then when the city looks better, it's just better for everybody.
And it provides us an opportunity to have input on some colors or some items that they may be wanting to put out there. We can have some input for consistency.
Yes.
To maintain that look in downtown.
Yes. Maybe don't go fuchsia, purple,
right.
orange. Just throw it way off the whole aesthetic of things. That's funny. Well, how does the DDA work in some other ways with local businesses? How are you guys working to kind of, make life better for everyone?
Sure. So we do projects that are sometimes on a grand scale, like the South Lawn, which is 30 acres and 600 units of housing, or we might do just a single storefront location. Like we might buy a building or just one storefront in a row of retail storefronts, and help recruit the right business owner to go in that spot.
I see.
Sometimes we help current business owners find and relocate to the right spot. With Lawrenceville changing as much as it is, especially the downtown area, the uses change. Whereas a used car lot or an auto mechanic might have been well placed in the downtown 15, 20 years ago,
right? It's
probably not the best location for them now.
Right.
And there might be a higher or better use for that property that would benefit the whole downtown mix of service providers, restaurants, retail, office. There's a certain mix that we're trying to achieve to make an ultimate walkable, livable downtown area. And so some of those businesses, they need help relocating.
Sure.
And we do that.
That's awesome.
And from time to time, we'll engage a consultant or an expert to help us kind of do an overview of downtown and see what's missing, what's the void. She mentioned some things like that. One thing that we're looking to do is some type of small grocery or provision store.
I see.
Downtown Lawrenceville, that's really a void. We get a lot of requests from other people that now are living downtown that say, hey, I just want to grab something or grab a bottle of wine or grab something for dinner, but I don't want to have to drive 15 minutes to get to Publix to do that. So So we engage consultants that help us out with that. And then, as Lee mentioned, we may identify a building and then really try to find that specific user. So that's a little bit different than just letting the free market kind of happen, because somebody may buy that and put a different use in there that may not be as beneficial to downtown.
I see. Yeah.
An example of that is, the highest rents are going to be paid by a restaurant, because
Yes.
a restaurant is selling a lot of food and alcohol, and they can pay the highest rents. So every landlord is going to want a restaurant as their tenant. But we need a mix of things.
Yes.
And so that might be an example of where we might get involved and say, okay, we need to take some steps to place some other retail uses in here that help
Right.
serve the citizens that are living in our downtown and make it a more user-friendly and meeting all the needs of the people who are there.
This is so important when you really unpack and think about what that means, because you're really helping to design the city to grow in the way that it should, to the benefit of all of the people there. And so I think that we should have some authorship in what Lawrenceville does become. You guys really help to make that happen and do that, because I can see where it can get real sloppy real fast. And we've all been to other cities and other places where it's just nobody's running the ship, and there's like just a bunch of sprawl everywhere. There's just a bunch of stuff that doesn't make any sense. You got a dry cleaners next to a 4-star restaurant, or you've got some new restaurant opening that someone's beautiful dream. It's just, maybe let's not put the seafood restaurant in the parking lot of a thrift store. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to sell lobster there. It doesn't make any sense, but they can't see it because they're emotionally connected to that decision. And to even have somebody to talk to about that, to go, you know what? This is for your betterment. Like, we love your dream. Your dream's going to perform way better here, or, hey, we know you want to start this kind of business. Let's help you get located in a place where you're going to have the largest amount of foot traffic and the largest amount of new customers that are able to come into the area and attract businesses, even that might be currently in the wrong location, to come inside the city limits into Lawrenceville and do great business. The real world example of that for the city of Lawrenceville might be La Quazela. You think Carlos, he was over there in the parking lot behind the AMC 18 in Lawrenceville years and years ago, doing just fine. But you bring him into the downtown area years ago, probably, I don't even know how many years ago, but he's been there for quite a minute, and thriving. That's one of the first Mexican restaurants in Gwinnett County that Carlos started over 35 years ago, still doing really, really well in heavy, heavy, heavy competition. There's you could throw a rock and I can hit a guy that sells burritos,
That's right.
Exactly. We call that curating retail.
I love it.
We're
That's
trying
awesome.
to curate the right mix of uses in our downtown.
That's great. Yeah, that's really, really cool. So you mentioned need for grocery, need for places of people to come. Is there any other current needs you guys are looking or shopping for, or trying to figure out like where they fit into the mix?
A couple of things come to mind.
Sure.
One is we need retail stores.
Okay.
As I mentioned, it's harder for a retail store to pay the rent that a restaurant can pay.
Right.
But while you're waiting on your restaurant reservation or your show at the Aurora Theater, it's helpful to have places to go and feel and touch and see actual merchandise. And with the advance of the internet and online ordering, you just see less and less of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's something we'd like to foster
Yes.
and make more of.
Yeah.
The other gap we're seeing, or a place that we're getting involved, is bringing certain residential housing into downtown Lawrenceville. A community wants to have a diversity of housing types
Sure.
and levels, and we look and see where there are gaps and try to fill those, recruit the developer, help identify the land,
Right.
Try to kind of design what we give them input from our market studies and our consultants about what would do best here,
Sure.
and bring those developments to fruition. We have so many people who are going to be moving to Gwinnett County and to Lawrenceville.
Yes.
When you look at the employers and, with Northside Hospital, the college, how much we're growing, we're going to have people come.
Oh, yes.
And so for us to capture our share of that market, we have to have the housing available.
And of all income levels. I mean, you're looking at heavy demographics that are affecting the area. You got to cover it for, you got to cover it demographically, culturally, and you're going to have doctors. I mean, Lawrenceville's always had a lot of lawyers because of but lawyers, you got new executives coming in. I mean, Northside expanding, so you're going to need executive housing and things like that. There's just a lot of great, work to be done, and it sounds like you guys are pretty busy.
We are. You're right. You need everything from affordable and workforce housing to executive housing.
Yes, that's
and we
really
aim
good.
to have the gamut.
That's awesome. Yeah. That takes somebody at the steering wheel of that to make that happen. If you leave it up to just its own devices, it very rarely works out.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's most effective for a developer to build toward the middle,
right,
where the most people can buy.
And so that's
an economic decision they would make.
Yeah, and then it just becomes everything,
right.
And then you miss the mix that you're really looking for. Fascinating. Love that. What's your wildest dream for Lawrenceville, Barry?
Wildest dream. I would say, it's a lot of times we'll sit down with other leaders from the city and you kind of look at the map of Lawrenceville and go, this area really needs some help, or this area is kind of old and run down, and can we dream about what could go here? Mm-hmm. And then, like Lee said, maybe we're going out and talking to the property owner and saying, hey, have you ever thought about redeveloping? Have you ever thought about this? And a lot of times we're not even really involved in any way other than just marrying the two up, the person that owns the property and the person that wants to come in and develop. And so mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of opportunity for that.
Sure.
Lawrenceville, being the county seat, was really built out 25, 30 years ago. As Lee talked about housing, there's not been a lot of new housing in Lawrenceville in a really long time. And so
yeah.
Because of being the county seat and a lot of the land being already developed, now we're looking for opportunities to redevelop, right? What can we do to change the look and change the scenery in a positive way? I just think there's a lot of opportunity for that. Mm-hmm. But nothing happens fast. It all takes time.
Well, you guys say that, but then I turn around and there's places to eat on the sidewalk that weren't there a month ago. And, there's 2 breweries, and then there's art projects spurring up.
And
you guys do it faster than most municipalities would probably do it.
There's truth in that. And a lot of that we have been involved in, but a lot of that, what you're seeing now, as Lee mentioned, is the halo effect. Mm-hmm. Lawrenceville's done such a great job over the past 5 to 10 years of doing that we get calls on a regular basis of restaurants or businesses that want to come to Lawrenceville.
Right.
Say, hey, we're going to open a new location. We would love to be in Lawrenceville. So people now
sure.
are coming here rather than us having to go and say, hey, come check out Lawrenceville. It's kind of the word is spread and they want to be there.
That's awesome.
So a lot of that happens.
And they should want to be there.
Right.
Yeah. That's awesome. What's your wildest dream?
My wildest dream is similar to Barry's in expanding our footprint. Mm-hmm. So if you look at downtown Lawrenceville at the very core, the 9-block area, that's where all the action is. Mm-hmm. And that's probably about a half a mile radius of the downtown. Mm-hmm. I think we could double that.
Oh wow!
And take it, all the way up to. We've got what we call the depot area where the breweries and all of that is. That's just a huge opportunity for that area to take off all the way up the college corridor mm-hmm. to George Gwinnett College.
Yes.
That will be one of our next development projects is to make something happen there.
That's awesome.
And you could also go out to the east, all the way out to Rhodes Jordan Park. Mm-hmm. We could have that same intensity of development that's in the downtown 9-block square all the way to Rhodes Jordan Park. So I think you could take in all directions and expand our footprint so that all that is considered downtown walkable Lawrenceville as well.
I believe that's going to happen. Yeah. I believe I'm going to see that. And,
Yeah, I think you will.
I don't think it's going to take that long either. I really don't. Guys, thank you so much. Is there anything else you guys like to add? I think this is a really good, insightful way to think about just the way we way we make cities happen, like, and just to know that there's a bunch of really smart people sitting together, thinking about this, making decisions, talking about it, and deciding, like, what do we want Lawrenceville to be? The other part of that is, like, for the citizenry, is there ways for them to make input? Is there ways for them to give suggestions, that kind of thing? Is that an open, is there a way to do that they need to know about, maybe?
Sure. Our planning and development department does most of the strategic planning, and they actually hold events that people can come to. They go to neighborhoods and shopping centers and things like that, and there are always surveys online to
great.
do that. Yeah,
wonderful.
And take all that input and try to put it into our strategic planning, our goals, and then the DDA works toward aligning what we do to meet those goals. You mentioned or Barry mentioned how hard it was, how long it takes to get things done. And I'm so glad that it seems fast to you.
I'm sure it seems slower to you guys.
Yeah, but from our end, just I guess to illustrate the difference, my business is a mom and pop operation.
Okay.
And so we can make decisions on a dime. We say we're going to do this, and we just decide, and we just do it.
And how long has Merritt Properties been doing what you guys do?
We've been in business for 25 years.
Wow, yeah, okay.
And we were a mom and pop operation for most of those, but just recently we've become a family business.
I see.
So now we have 3 adult sons working with us.
Wow.
But we can make quick decisions, and that's been my experience in real estate. But taking that real estate background and bringing it to the DDA, I have found, there has to be a consensus among all the players. And so we have 7 DDA members, 5 city council members, a city manager, an assistant city manager, an attorney for the DDA, an attorney for the city, and that's on our side of the negotiating table.
I see.
With the developer.
I see. Yeah.
And there are sunshine laws, and we want to be transparent in things we do.
Right.
So to jump through all those hoops and to be transparent and to get input from all of those sources and get everyone in consensus, it takes some time.
It takes back-to-back miracles is really the thing. So y'all are miracle workers as well. So you can both feel proud about that.
Luckily, all our players seem to be on the same team.
That's good.
We're
that's
common.
Well, everybody wants a better,
Yes.
a better place to live, better place to work and play. So makes sense. Barry, anything you want to add?
No, I just appreciate you having us out again.
Oh yeah, it's joy.
It was a great experience.
I love chatting with you guys. Guys, if you have any questions, you can always send an email, send a comment. Make sure you subscribe to the show. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube for the city's YouTube page where this podcast is plays as well. And if you have anybody who cares about the city of Lawrenceville, just know there's some great people working behind the scenes that you can actually get in touch with and maybe give your comments and thoughts and all that kind of stuff too, or just send a thank you note. Don't send any complaints. We don't take those. Okay, just letting you know. All right, guys, thanks for listening to the Lawrenceville Bicentennial podcast. Until next time, you guys have a good one.